Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babylon Irons breakdown video with myself and Mike. An interesting deal that could potentially be going through Ibrahim Osman of, I'm going to absolutely butcher this,
I'll go for
Noiseland.
it.
Noiseland in the Norway division. Just that's what you need to know. He's 19 years old, obviously from Ghana. A lot of talk around what's going to potentially happen with this deal, around £15 million. So quite expensive for a young talent who's, disclaimer, probably going to be brought in to be on the bench to start with and try and push into the first team. But I think the rumors are that he is going to be in and around the first team if he does join. So it definitely provides us with some options and pace on that left wing. We'll get onto the breakdown very shortly. Mike, you know a lot more about this player than me, so I'm going to hand over to you for just a kind of quick summary of the type of player he is before we talk about what we can expect from him in a West Ham shirt, should he join.
Yeah. And before we do that, also Sloth did a great breakdown on our TikTok as well. So if you want a nice kind of short, condensed version, jump on our TikTok, go and look at the breakdown that Sloth's done as well. So yeah, pretty much going to echo what he said as well. He is a strong kind of player as well. He is about I think about 5'10", maybe just shy of 6 foot. Good physical kind of player, very athletic, blistering, and I mean blistering pace when he gets going. Very long stride in the way he runs. A player that 1v1 is going to be a nightmare for any defender because, again, it's that level of power, that pace. He does have good close control, even though he can at times maybe overhit it because, as I say, he's got quite a long stride. So when he kind of runs with the ball, it's like a gallop. So the ball kind of tends to maybe be pushed out a bit too much, in my opinion. And this is from what I've seen of him. I haven't seen enough to base a complete full opinion on him, but from what I have seen of him, I say that pace is going to be incredible on a counter attack. He very much will suit that counter attacking. Yeah, definitely will suit that counter attacking kind of momentum that we have, especially when we have the likes of Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta, etc. To have someone who can continue that level of pace and, in fact, actually take it up a level. I'm pretty sure. I think the Ghanaian Hammers are very, very high on this guy, and to the point of, I think there's been some talk about they believe him to possibly have more potential to be, or potentially to be better than Kudus, which, if was to be the case, and we end up paying, I think they're talking around nearly 18 million euros plus add-ons in total. If he was to be anything like Kudus in the near future, then no, he's a good player. We've got an incredible bargain, and I know people hate it because it's a dirty word, but the sell on value, we know at the end of the day, we've got it's the dirty word in football.
I mean, you only have to look at likes of Everton and Forest at the moment to see that it is a real thing and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah. And as we've always seen, we tend to buy high, sell low. So we need to have some of these situations where we have a player and we're not buying them in the fault of, oh, look what we can make from in the future. But it's that if this player does well, that's going to help us with, say, with financial fair play. So it's something that constantly comes up with West Ham. So it's probably is why it kind of gets brought up. But going back to Osman, his pace is going to be fantastic. He does have a ferocious shot. It can be, from what I've seen, I've seen like a couple of games of him recently. They can be sometimes slightly erratic, but a bit like Kudus, he wants to shoot all the time, and that can be one a good thing, one a bad thing. But he does like to shoot all the time. He does have quite a ferocious shot when he wants to. There's a clip that's going around Twitter of one of the goals he scored this year, where he literally is just running down, gets down a wing, cuts in, and then absolutely smashes it past the goalkeeper into the top corner. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be optimistic and a lot to be excited about with Osman. However, we can't get carried away. He is only 19.
Yeah,
he's coming straight out of the Norwegian league, and I know some people will look down on that, but for a little bit of perspective, the likes of Victor Boniface, who we are currently linked to, who is a player that myself and Sloth were calling for last year for West Ham to go forward, gone to buy Leverkusen, obviously absolutely destroyed the season. Was absolutely tearing it up, in the Bundesliga until the injury. Was doing that in Belgium as well last year at Union SG. And prior to that, his route into Europe was going into the Norwegian league. Gift Orban, who we saw last season, who had really good games against us and was really good last season for Ghent. And
He's just gone to Leon, hasn't he, as well?
yeah, just gone to Leon. He also started off his route from Nigeria, was into the Norwegian league, then went on to Belgium, very much like Victor Boniface, and then moving on to one of the top five in Europe. And another player who's just recently moved, another striker, funny enough, from Africa, has moved from Bolo Glint to the likes of, I believe he's just gone to Marseille. His name, can't remember it off the top of my head now, it's just completely gone. But it is a market where there are good players. Another team that's done this quite often is Brentford in recent years. They've gone and found players at that league and brought them over. So it is a good hunting ground for players. You have to work hard, I think, mainly because of the cold. If you don't, you're going to get cold out there. So you've got to be a bit of a hard worker. But from what I've seen, again, he's not afraid to do the defensive side. Much like we see with Kudus, it's a hard-working player, wants to do the right things. Obviously, it's up to him in which to improve and to live up to this kind of title of a wonder kid that's just come out of Africa and doing really well in a European league. However, we do need to, look at this as this is a player that's coming in to supplement our 11. He's going to be bedded in this season or the remainder of this season, should he sign. Next year could again be a lot of the same. We shouldn't be expecting him to, just hit the ground running and be scoring goals, etc. It is going to probably take him, the next 6 to 18 months to really start to feel part of the team, because obviously Moyes is so demanding, and whilst there is talks about Moyes is staying next year, at the moment we don't know he is. So again, it could be a completely different style.
It doesn't matter who it is. The Premier League's a completely different ball.
Exactly. So physically, he's built for it. He has the pace for the league. He is good technically. He's not just an athletic unit who can absolutely tear it at that pace down the wing. He does have good technical ability. However, as I say, he does love the counter-attack, because the counter-attack gets so much space in which to really open up his legs. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in games where maybe we're not always on the counter. His pace will be an amazing equalizer.
I think for me, the whole statement of this intense signing and what's going on around Tim Steidten, and bringing in more scouts and building out that network and recruitment and analysis, etc. There's a lot more to it than just signing a pacey winger. We're trying to identify and build for the future, and slowly but surely these types of deals are going to start to evolve under Tim Steidten, alongside your Calvin Phillips that you're going to inevitably bring in, because for me, that's a good sign. We spoke here last summer, I think it was, with Moyes and Steidten and the potential conflict. This is a potential opposite, flip side of that, where Moyes is actually starting to see what Tim Steidten's brought him, the likes of Kudus, and that trust is now being built. So why wouldn't you want to bring in a player that's, he's still only 19. He's going to be in and around the first team. We're not going to expect fireworks, immediately. He's got 1 goal and 4 assists this season in 16 appearances. So it's not like he's doing outstanding numbers. It's more that development and, that long-term planning, which is really good to see.
And it's the fact that he's explosive. There's that trade-off with, he's a young, exciting, explosive player who can get people off their seats and get you really on the edge of your seat. However, because he is young, because he is explosive, he will have a tendency to make, kind of
frustrate you.
To make the, have questionable decision making, maybe to hold on to the ball a bit too long as he's trying to assess the game. But that will improve, over time. And funny enough, I find this kind of signing more exciting than Calvin Phillips, because 1, there's an element of the unknown with it. 2, again, it shows that our scouting team it's
a different direction.
Yeah, it's turning over every every stone to which to try and find maybe a hidden gem. And I don't think there's a problem with looking lesser leagues. Look at the like of Robert Lewandowski. If it was probably, I think Big Sam was literally hours from signing him for Blackburn. What a change of fortune that could have been for Blackburn. However, he then went, I think he then went straight to Dortmund, I think the year after he didn't sign. So we could look down on these lesser leagues. However, these lesser leagues do have gems, and if you can get them at the right time, you can then really bring them forward. And I think that's what's exciting about this is it's a player that for even 20 million euros in today's football is relatively nothing. And as long as he does okay,
Yeah.
he's going to hold that value. And I don't look at it as like, when everyone was looking at Adulai Sima from Sparta, there was such a foray about it because he was just putting up ridiculous numbers in terms of goals, assists, etc. However, it looked a little like a bit of flash in the pan, and we said at the time when we were just starting on here, we were saying that it's maybe a little bit of a whilst he's doing well, it's possibly a little bit of a danger because someone who's exploded that quickly, sometimes it's not necessarily sustainable. And whilst when we look at Osman, his numbers are not as high, so it's not necessarily someone that's coming in just been completely blown everyone out of the water. However, it's unsustainable because those numbers set at a level, whereas his one goal and 4 assists, it shows a player that one is making a very big impact in a very short space of time. However, it's not someone who's possibly performing to levels that are not sustainable.
Also, he's only just graduated from the big Right to Dream Academy, and this is his first proper season in football. So you can't really, unless you're someone like Cristiano Ronaldo coming through the academy, you're not going to achieve massive numbers. And people are
Ronaldo, let's face it, Ronaldo doesn't achieve huge numbers for some time, really.
Exactly, and that's the whole point now. It's not just you can't just look at goals and assists anymore to determine whether you think a player is going to be good or not. There's a lot more to it. And Tim Steiding, he's definitely bought my trust with what he's been doing with his football club over the past 6 months, 8 months now that he's been at the club. So we have to start developing, like you mentioned. We have to start identifying areas. Left wing, we've been crying out for pace and a natural left winger on that side. This is a player that is going to suit that to absolutely like you were saying. If we want to continue on the counter attack, he's going to be suited to that with his pace and his playing style. If it's not going to be
a left winger, he's more of your inside forward type. He's a Kudus for the right hand side, or you're Bowen on the left hand side with a right foot. Essentially, it's this. Wouldn't they say a winger because that might set some.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how Moyes wants to utilize him. I mean, we saw it with Kudus. He's now come into West Ham and he's basically playing on that right hand side and drifting inside, but he's operating in a kind of free roam role which suits him to A, carry the ball, B, find pockets of space, and C, get shots on goal in and around the box. This type of player can do exactly that but the other side. So it'll be interesting to see how it does work out. Obviously a lot of unknown about this. 15 million pounds, 20 million euros potentially. We don't know the exact figures yet, but it looks like we're working hard on this deal to try and make it happen alongside Calvin Phillips in this January. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll let you know of any developments as well as they come. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on the potential signing of Osman. Is it something you like to see us going out to these types of leagues and finding these younger talents? Or do you prefer maybe the Prem proven approach that a lot of fans I know are a bit more amicable of? But yeah, that's going to be all for today. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you are new to the channel and subscribe, as that massively helps us out. And Mike, until next time,
come on, your
eyes.